And we are back, and we just finished watching Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Rated R with a runtime of 2 hours and 19 minutes. This is a movie by the Daniels, written and directed by the Daniels, Kwan and Daniel Scheinert.
And it's about Evelyn, who is running a business, basically getting audited by the IRS. She is under extreme stress. The beginning of the movie just excellently shows this as she is moving from one task to another, planning a party, taking care of her elderly father, always great, James Hong.
While dealing with
a strained relationship with her daughter, and also
the relationship with
her husband, who she doesn't believe, I guess, is taking things as seriously as he should. I mean, he is, but I don't believe she has much confidence in his abilities.
Well, they have very different personas. She's very
absolutely they are an absolute.
She is the pessimist.
She's the pessimist,
whereas he is more optimistic, I think, and not as.
And he's one to where she is just like doom and gloom, like you said, a pessimist. He is the one who is always trying to just solve the problem and just get it done. I don't think that she doesn't want to solve things. She definitely takes charge, but I think his way of looking at life is a little bit more on the positive side than hers. I think she's just in this kind of pattern of just like, I just have to get this done, not enjoying the journey. And that scene in the laundromat where the guy is like, he's dancing with the customer and being silly. Like that's like a very great kind of like peek into the Waymond character. Yeah. And the fact that she gets annoyed by it, right. It shows their dynamic.
Right. Like, I agree with you. Like, she sees him as kind of like a boob. Like, he doesn't take this seriously. He's not.
Well, I think she basically is letting all of this stress and aggravation affect her to the point where, like, how could I put this? She is incapable of seeing the joy in life.
Yes.
Incapable of finding the joy that might exist in life. And whereas Waymond, he sees that there's these issues. I mean, he's also talking about the taxes and all that, but he is also able to find moments where
to indulge in levity,
the googly eyes, the dancing, that sort of thing.
Yes.
And you feel, I mean, you find that he clearly loves his wife, but he sees that she is not happy.
Yes.
And it kind of leads him down to down a road where he's trying to, I'm like I don't want to give any spoilers, but he's got something prepared, and I think he's mainly doing it because he thinks that she does not love him anymore.
Yes,
as opposed to him not loving her.
Yes, and I think he also said like somebody in their church did something like that to kind of like shake things up.
Yeah, but that was said in an alternate universe.
Okay.
But it was a tangent universe, so it was very similar to ours.
Okay. So this is not a Marvel film, but does explore the multiverses.
Yes. The multiverse is the new zombies.
Yes, I believe so. But this is done in such an interesting way because it's like, so I agree with you. I don't want to give too much away, but I think if you've seen the commercials or the trailers, you kind of have a gist of what's going on, where there's trouble afoot in the time continuum or in the timelines, and something has to happen in order for things to right themselves. And I think that,
but it's not only that, it's also, it's about relationships, and it's about dealing with life.
Yes, I was going to say, but at the core, I think the thing that really needs to be addressed is the familial relationships, and they need to be kind of dealt with. And I think a big part of that happens towards the end, where Evelyn confronts her father And it's not like a big showdown. It's kind of a contained scene, but in that moment, she makes a huge gesture and sort of assertively kind of takes the reins in the situation to not allow her relationship with her daughter to be like the relationship that she had with her father. And I think that is a huge turning point here in the story. And it's really lovely because without giving too much away, as she goes into the different, I guess, realities of herself, one of the things that you learn is that she gets to kind of pick a skill that can help her in her current situation. So you see that. And I think having experienced the lives that she was living in different areas, she always comes back to this one because this is where she has Waymond and Joy. Because those are the things that are important to her. Life is messy. It's not predictable. There's going to be good days. There are going to be bad days. But I think that ultimately the things that are important are family and love. And
well, I think what it's saying is that, yeah, those things are important, but the thing is you can't let yourself not see them because you are too much a slave to the wheel. Like they were saying, you're going round and round doing the same thing over and over again. And that was sort of like that was basically the fight.
right.
The fight was let this endless wheel grind you down and crush you. Like,
Don't let it.
No. Let me finish. Let the wheel grind you down and crush you, or see that, it doesn't have to be like that.
Right.
That there is kindness. There is room for this. That opening yourself up to this will prevent that from happening. You don't have to go into the bagel, the wheel.
Yeah.
Which is visually there. I mean, there it was. That was the wheel.
Yeah.
You don't have to go into, you don't have to be sucked into that and destroyed by it, because there is so much all around you that is always there. But we oftentimes lose sight of it because we're too busy thinking about taxes and businesses and making sure the noodles are cooked right. And we're not seeing our daughter enough and not being too, confident about, our daughter's choice in companionship.
Being very judgy, like the father.
Being judged by the father, making sure that the dad is happy all the time. That was what the whole noodle thing was. And just pretty much ignoring the husband other than to just scold him for not, I guess, sort of joining you in your misery. I mean, like Evelyn was, misery loves company, and she was miserable.
Yes.
And if she was going to be miserable, everybody else was going to be miserable too.
Except for her father.
But he was never happy anyway.
Right.
At least in her mind. And I think a lot of that was just that I think they were just happier when the confrontation actually occurred.
Happened.
Just they got it out.
Right.
And it turns out, the father wasn't as judgmental as that, but there's always decisions that are made in the past that cause grudges and whatnot.
Right.
But yeah, that was the fight. The real fight was be a slave to the grindstone, fall into that bagel, or look at the kindness in the world, embrace it. See that it's there, see that everybody's got their problems, everybody's got their issues, instead of joining them in misery and pain and fighting. Try and I guess meet them halfway or help them through and maybe that'll help you out as well.
Question for you. Do you think that everything that happened, or was this all like a fever dream that she had?
You know, I wonder that myself.
Okay.
I wonder that myself if she was just having like a psychotic break.
Yeah. But she comes to an epiphany.
But then again, is she the type of person who would come to a psychotic break like that? Because it was very deep. Like there were rules.
Yeah.
Rules were applied and followed in this movie. It wasn't just willy nilly. Oh, now I'm a kung fu master or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
There was something you needed to do
in order
to become the kung fu master.
Right.
You know? And it was. I thought that was like super clever. The way they set that up. Like you're wondering what the hell's like. Why is Waymond eating a tube of chapstick?
Yeah, that didn't make any sense until it was explained.
What is going on? And then suddenly he's just beating the crap out of people with a fanny pack.
Amazing scene, by the way. Amazing,
absolutely amazing scene.
Yeah, short round. Fucking A.
Short round. Yeah. And then you see what other people have to do, and some of them are like, cutting your paper cuts between the fingers.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Or that
I was watching it and I was like cringing on the
trophy.
Couch. Yes.
Oh my god!
And
you knew when Jamie Lee Curtis shows off the trophies, you're like, what is that? Doesn't look like a trophy. I've seen those on the internet.
Because it's funny when the credits rolled, that was like the first thing. Like, did that was like this like Walter Mitty? Did this just happen in her brain, or did this actually happen?
Yeah.
But at the end, you get a sense that the family's in a different place.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I get the impression some of it happened, but not all of it.
Yes, that would make sense.
Like some of it was we were seeing an alternate. We were like in the alternate universe, but in this universe, that really wasn't happening, because if it was, there's no coming back from that. Mm-hmm. Like seriously, there like the fight scenes and the property damage. There's no coming back from that. If that happened in this universe, there's no coming back from that.
Yeah.
You go to jail, and it's not just. Oh, well, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
No, you're going to prison.
Yeah.
I mean, people were really hurt bad. Like walls were exploded. I mean, some guy exploded into confetti, didn't he?
Yeah, his head.
Yeah, and people were being shot.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Well, I feel like. See, like that scene, I wonder if that really happened.
I don't know if it did, because not only was there like the alternate universe stuff, but there was like reality manipulation going on, especially when Jobu finally shows up.
Right. And plus, that had, not that it didn't have anything to do with her, but that wasn't her character, right? So this is how she saw Waymond in that moment, right? So I think, that's why I wondered if that happened, or if it was just her subconscious kind of like guiding her and making her see him in a different way.
That's like when I watched this film, I was like, this is the sort of film where you should probably watch it
2 or 3 times.
2 or 3 times to truly get everything. And I don't even know if you watched it 2 or 3 times, would you ever come to a final consensus of whether it was really happening or not?
Yeah. And it's funny because I think this is the kind of movie that you could watch over and over and over again and still find new things and new interpretations of things. And that's the beauty of something like this, where it's not spoon-fed to you. You really have to bring your own.
Yeah, you got to think about it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed.
Yeah, I enjoyed this a lot.
There's a lot of, and it's not just like it makes me ponder and think. There's a lot of fun eye candy in this.
Oh
movie.
My gosh,
the fight scenes are great. I mean,
ridiculous.
You got Michelle Yeoh. I don't think Huy Quan was actually doing that fighting. It looked like there was some stunt doubling going on there. But it was awesome, and you could totally see. You told me that originally people were they wanted Jackie Chan.
Yes.
And you could see the choreography was like the Jackie Chan type choreography,
movies,
especially the stuff with the fanny pack and the oh God, Jenny Slate with her dog. Oh my God,
that was great.
That's worth it. That's worth the price of admission alone. Jenny Slate doing.
There's so much stuff that goes on in here that's amazing. And again, it's funny because it's rated R, and it's not a lot of cursing, but there is a scene.
Yeah,
that's a little over the top.
Some penetration.
I don't want to give too much away, but. Yes, this is not for small children, this movie. This is rated R for a reason. But it all works. It all works. And I think that I love stuff like this because it really forces you to bring your own life experiences into this.
And it has a nice lesson to it too.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, I'm guilty of that myself when things start getting me down, like the work's becoming overwhelming and it just seems like it's never going to end, and then there's house issues going on, and then, I don't know, the kids are acting grumpy. You just become like, and you're just looking for that dark cloud, and honestly, it doesn't help.
Right.
Like if you have a problem and the problem's making you upset, being upset's not going to help you solve the problem.
Sure.
You know, be upset for like a minute and then be like, okay, let's just do this.
Let's tackle this. Yeah.
Let's tackle this. Let's try and do it with a bit of good humor because
life is short.
You know what? There are certain points of your life where you're the only friend you got. And it's much easier to getting something done when you got friends around you. So be kind to yourself.
Yes. And I think it's interesting. Another thing that I kind of wanted to highlight was like the familial relationships, how obviously her father is of a different generation. So there's a specific mindset. He's not originally from this country. So you have now cultural things that enter into play. And it seemed like they had a very fractured relationship because she made a choice.
Yeah.
And she
chose her husband.
She chose her husband. She chose Waymond. And she led this different life. And in other multiverses, it looked like she was a singer and her father was there, but there was no Waymond. And then the big one, I guess, is her as an actress, right? Mm-hmm. And she doesn't choose Waymond, but she sees him in that life. And that was especially poignant because there's the line about, in another life, I would just
love to do taxes and laundry
with you, which is what their life in this timeline is.
Yeah.
So that kind of spoke to me. It's funny. We just saw Persuasion, about a story about second chances. Not a good film, but the idea of second chances in that reality, she's not with Waymond. So joy doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So, and you could see in those scenes this sort of regret that certain decisions were made and the life that those decisions became, right? And I think that at the end of the day, and sort of at the end of the film, you see that Evelyn has a better appreciation for Joy and Waymond. And I think that having gone through this journey, having gone through this adventure, it's made clear to her that this is what's important. And the great thing is that she learned the lesson. She could have chosen to ignore it or to put it out of her head or to continue in the path that she was. But the great thing about life is that we can choose to make something better. but we individually have to make those choices. And there's always opportunity for growth and knowledge. And she kind of just went for this ride. She didn't really, I mean, she was resistant a little, but she accepted it. She kind of co-signed on everything Waymond told her. And it's funny because you hear it and it's like, that just sounds crazy. Like, what is going on, right?
Yeah.
But she sees things like the fight with the fanny pack. So she's like, okay, this is legit. So how do I fix this kind of thing? Because that's her kind of genetic makeup. How do I fix this? But I think part of the lesson in this journey that she's taking, like you said, is to find the joy, to open herself up to that. And I think, without getting too much into what happens, there's a scene towards the end with her daughter where they both confront each other and there's resolution. So all these things had to happen, right? Mm-hmm. In order for her to make that change. Because she was a creature of habit. She was living a certain way and she didn't really deviate much from that. But having been on this adventure, things are presented to her. She's learning because she's going on this journey and she wants to change. Mm-hmm. Because if she doesn't, she ultimately loses Waymond and joy, which is not something she wanted to do.
Yeah, and everything, really. I mean,
yeah,
it was, like I said, they lose everything, nothing matters, and just disappear.
Right.
Into the void.
Phenomenal cast.
Yeah, I loved everybody in this.
Everybody was freaking amazing. Michelle Yeoh is the GOAT. Huy Quan was really nice to see him after many years away from the screen. Yeah. Stephanie Sue as the daughter Joy. She was really great. Jenny Slade as Dog Mom. The always fantastic and iconic James Hong. Just it was nice to see him. It felt like he was going to be regaled to kind of like second string, but his story picks up in the second half of this, which was great.
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis. Let's talk about Jamie Lee Curtis. Amazing. She was doing that Tony Jaa move.
Yeah,
she was amazing.
She channeled a pro wrestler.
It was amazing.
She was like doing F5s and backbreakers and stuff.
Yeah. Just really well done. I mean, I'm. It's funny. Films can just be entertainment. They can be hard hitting. They can be emotional. This film really had a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And it was funny. It had action. It had family drama. It had just
philosophy almost.
Yeah. Yes, just everything. And I love that a lot of it was in Chinese.
Yeah.
And you had to participate in this experience in a lot of ways. So that was really great. It's hard to articulate. Like, I feel like I haven't seen anything like this. And it was great. It was really great. Like, what a fun, amazing storytelling experience by the Daniels.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Just wow. And I again, without I agree with you. I don't want to give too much away, but I really kind of going back to a point I was trying to make before it flew out of my head, but it's coming back to me now, about persuasion, about second chances. again, the scenes with her as the actress, that really, I really felt that. Because sometimes I think even in great relationships, right, you wonder, well, what could my life have been if I had taken a different path? I think it's human to wonder that, right? I think it's very, very human. I personally, I've said this many, many times. My personal life is amazing. It is better than any of my dreams. My husband is fantastic. My children are wonderful. My house hates me, but I'm dealing with it. But my personal life is fantastic. My friends are wonderful. I couldn't be more blessed. I feel very rich in my personal life, and I can't imagine my life without the people in my life. And I don't take any of that for granted. So that segment really spoke to me, because life is interesting, right? If I hadn't been at no idea, or you're right, no idea, I wouldn't have known you.
No.
If I had chosen not to go that day, I would never have met you. My children wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
So is it fate? Is it luck? Is it a little bit of both? Is it destiny? It feels like all those things. I mean, I feel like my life journey with you in particular it hasn't always been easy. But the nice thing is that we really are not the norm.
Probably not, no.
No. We get each other, and we hardly fight.
That's nice.
Yeah. I know you 20 plus years, and you really are my best friend. And I couldn't imagine doing this without you. So I am very, very lucky, and I'm very, very grateful to have you here, to have you not only as a husband and a friend, but as a father to my two kids. So and that scene, it made me so sad, because it was like they accomplished a lot, I guess, in their professional lives, but
without each other.
And
something missing.
Right. They didn't have joy.
Yeah.
Which, again, I couldn't imagine my life without my children. I mean, I know I had one before them, but it's weird now, right? It's like these little people are so integral to my existence that if they weren't there, I wouldn't know what to do with myself. Same thing with you. Like I wouldn't know what to do. But so yeah, that's like a very, I think it's something that does unfortunately happen in life, where people lose sight of things and walk away without fighting for things, and maybe many years later regret those choices.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you like you said, you just become blinded to the good stuff, and then you don't realize that it's gone till it's gone.
Right. And I think that in this life, Evelyn, like you said, was getting bogged down by all this other stuff. And not that it wasn't important. Obviously, being audited is a big deal. Going to the appointments and having your paperwork is important. But in the bigger scheme of things, mending the relationship with her husband and her daughter was of the utmost important. Like he even says it in the janitor's closet, right? Nothing is more important than this conversation that we're having right now. So yeah, I mean, this movie, and it works on so many yeah, it works on so many levels, and it's firing off on all cylinders, and it's a feast for the eyes. It's, yeah, a few weeks ago, I think I said that The Unbearable Massive Weight of Talent was my favorite movie of the year, but I don't know. This is something. This is absolutely something. If you haven't seen it, I think it's still in the theaters. You should absolutely do yourself a favor and go check out Everything Everywhere All at Once. You will not be disappointed. This is a movie that doesn't matter if you don't speak Chinese. You absolutely understand what's going on. This is the human condition. This is the human experience. Something here will speak to you.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, whether it's the relationship between daughters and fathers, or mothers and daughters, or husbands and wives, or just as an individual, just trying to make it through the day and trying to get through life. I think so much of this just really is about the human experience. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, if you're brave enough to go to the theaters, go check it out on the big screen. It's definitely visually stunning too.
Yeah.
A lot going on. Mm-hmm. You get frumpy Michelle Yeoh, but you also get sex pot glamorous Michelle Yeoh, and kung fu fighting Michelle Yeoh, and chef Michelle Yeoh, and everything else in between.
So
yes, everything else in between.
Hot dog fingers Michelle Yeoh.
Hot dog fingers. It reminded me of like that Everlong, like the Foo Fighter video.
Yeah.
It was so funny because like I would watch things and I was like, oh, this reminds me of that, and that reminds me of this, and this. It was so. This movie was so all over the place, but it was great. I mean, it still was just, yeah. I mean, even though it was like, this is nuts, but it still just
so
made
much weird stuff.
So much weird stuff. But it all worked. It all absolutely worked. We did watch this with the kids. There are some scenes that are a little adult, I guess.
Yeah.
Again, this is rated R for a reason.
There's a rated R for a reason. The stuff that was probably geared more towards adults, they were laughing pretty hard.
They were laughing pretty hard. Yeah. Some of it was way over the top.
Yeah. They blur out the some of the things, which is okay.
Yeah. But
anyway,
yeah.
It's a good.
It's
good.
Absolutely fantastic.
What would you give this?
I'm gonna give this. You know what? I haven't done it in a while. I'm gonna give this a 10. This was a 10 for me. This was a 10. Like, yeah. I mean, I loved Massive Talent. I really loved it. But this was just a step beyond that. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I'll give this a 9. It was really good.
It's a 10, God damn it.
Excellent. There's no 10s.
You don't know what's good. You don't know what's good. That's your problem. How did I marry you?
Well, I want you... I really appreciate all the lovely things you said about me, and I just want you to know that you're all right, so.
You son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to do better than me.
No, absolutely not. You can't do better than perfect.
There you go. But, yeah, just a lot to think about and a lot to digest, but absolutely do yourself a favor. Run. Do not walk. Run and go see Everything Everywhere All at Once by the Daniels, rated R with a runtime of 2 hours and 19 minutes. Long movie, didn't feel like it. It moved in a very frenetic place and went fast. So, okay, that's it from us, and we will bid you all a
good night.
Good night.